Paperwork is done, Mail Express is submitted, and in 2 days I'm going to be sitting down in a doctor's office and finding out if the FAA thinks I'm still fit to fly. No pressure. If you're just joining this, short version, I'm a type 2 diabetic private pilot. Last year I got my special issuance so I could fly again. Now it's time to renew it. I went through the AASI process versus basic med decision in part 1. The link's in the description below. This video is the actual renewal process, what I had to pull together and how it went. My AME is about 40 minutes away from me, and the drive always gives me time to ponder, what have I forgotten? What did I miss? What did I forget? What have I done wrong? It should be good. This will be fine. Honest. It'll be fine. I'm early. Makes a change. The meter is fed. I'm good for a couple of hours. Here I am. Time to go in.
A few moments later.
In this hand, I hold a piece of paper that says I can fly for another year. Okay, medical is done. It's just a 1 year, limited, but because of the diabetes, obviously the doctor's telling me about, have to lose weight and all the rest of it, keep things under control, keep things heading in the right direction, so that the FAA doesn't change their mind, or I switch to basic med, at that point. But what I cannot have is for them to turn and say, no, you can't do this anymore, because that kills basic med and everything else. So I need to do it, need to get on top of it, exercise. You think I'd know better? I have the head knowledge. I just have the inability to actually do it. So as well as my medical, I have a packet of papers that I need to get mailed to the FAA medical division. Anyway, heading home now after a successful mission. Successful mission at the AME.
A few minutes later.
So that took a little longer than expected. It's about an hour and a half. I thought it would take about an hour. Yeah, so like any doctor's office, if they're busy, it takes longer. And if you have a complex situation, it takes longer. As well as the required exam, the AME goes through all your paperwork. And that takes a little while because they're double checking everything. Make sure it's all good. And they also prepared a packet for me to send off to the FAA. So there's a visit to the post office tomorrow. The one surprise I had was that he wanted a copy of the Med Express form printed out. Luckily I had a copy anyway, because I had it in my copies of everything, because I keep duplicates. So I was just able to give him that. I wasn't expecting that, because you do submit it all online. So make sure you check with the AME if they want you to have a paper copy or not. It's worth knowing in advance. So yeah, I have the papers for me to mail in, so I'll be making a trip to the post office tomorrow. But yeah, good. I have my medical. New medical. New medical. I can fly this. I can fly it. The AASI isn't just showing up and saying, I take metformin and I feel fine. The FAA wants documentation. You're going to need lab results, diabetes, status report with medication. That's not insulin. If you're on insulin, it's a different protocol. You'll need to look that up on the FAA website and talk to your AME. Depending on what other conditions you have, you may need reports from specialists. You're going to need a narrative written by a doctor. I just took the care notes from MyChart. MyChart is, or whatever EHR you have access to, it's a great resource for getting your results and other things. Your list might differ depending on your specific situation, but expect labs, any specialist sign-offs you might need, a treating physician statement, and that's really going to be the minimum. There might be more you need depending on what conditions you have and what the FAA asks for, and all that information is available online. But talk to your AME. The AOPA medical team can also be a good resource for more information. Even though you submit your MedExpress application electronically, your AME may want you to bring a printed version of it with you. Mine did, which I found out during the visit. Luckily, I had a copy. So, talk to your AME about what you need to bring. Make sure you have everything. If necessary, create a checklist just to help you remember everything you need. There's nothing worse getting there and realizing you don't have something, and you have to go home, you have to contact your doctor, get more records, and then take it all back again. Also, review the information that's in your special issuance letter. That will tell you what they want, what the FAA wants and is expecting from you, and the timelines. They'll tell you if they want updates every 12 months or some other period. So just make sure you follow those instructions to stay on top of things. Okay, so a few things that I learned last year with the special assurance, but also this year going through the AASI process. For the diabetic status report, you need to know the date of your last medication change. That's not the date it was prescribed. That's the date that will show up in your EHR, in your medical charts if you go back and look. But it's actually the date that you took the new medication or the new dose, because that's the date that things start counting. Like if you have to not fly for a few days or a few weeks, depending on the medication, to check if there are any side effects that affect you. So that's one thing to take note of when you actually change the dose, the date itself. Make a note of it. Google Calendar's great for that, or keep a note of it in a notebook or somewhere else so that you know what it is. Secondly, if your doctor needs to fill out a form, fill it out yourself. Type it up. The FAA wants things to be typed. They don't like handwritten forms. Even though they give you the PDF with lots of blank spaces, they want to see it typed. And lots of doctor's offices may not even have typewriters anymore because they do everything in the EHR. So if you type it up yourself, make sure you get the dates right, make sure you get the doses right, and hand it to your doctor, ask them to review it, and sign it off. That way it looks neat, it's done, it saves them time, it saves you time. It's how the FAA want to see it. If the doctor has changes to make, ask them to note them down. You can make the corrections, take it back for them to sign again. If you need a narrative written, they can usually do that, and it has to be on their headed paper to be printed off if they're supplying a narrative separate from an FAA supplied form. Thirdly, check your dates. Your last doctor's visit and your lab work have to be within 90 days prior to your medical exam. I almost ran out of time on this one. If I'd waited a week, I would have expired on the 90 days and I would have had to have new doctor's visit, new lab work, redo the status report, because you have a 90-day period to get that stuff sorted out. Used to be 30 days, they extended it to 90, thankfully. It makes life a lot easier. But make sure you don't run out of time. Keep track of it. And it's easy to do because your doctor's visits and your medicals, they may not line up. So you have to do some juggling around a bit to get things to work properly. And especially with going to your PCP, that's reliant on insurance times as well, because they won't do them more frequently. There is a chance you can have to pay out of pocket for something. I know I certainly paid out of pocket for A1C tests. Sometimes you just have to do that to get things to line up correctly. So fourth, and this kind of comes back, I've touched on this a bit, keep good records of when you visited medical providers. On the application form, you have to tell them the last 3 years for visits to any medical provider. There are a couple of exceptions, but generally they want to know if you saw a doctor or a nurse practitioner for any reason. They want to know when it was, who it was, and where it was. The EHRs are good for keeping track of that if you're in network. If not, keep track of it in Google Calendar, keep a spreadsheet or a document with it in. If you have last year's 8500, then you'll have the last 3 years there, which will give you the 2 years worth of the information you need, and you have to fill in the blanks for this last 12 months. And fifth, keep copies of everything. I keep electronic copies. I scan them if they are received in the mail from the FAA, particularly the FAA letters, scan them in. I have those electronically. I also keep paper copies of everything because I take my own paper copies when I go to the AMA. That way I have a copy of everything that I've been given, and if the FAA asks for something again, you have it to show them, and for your next application in a year's time, you've got it as reference. Things like the special issuance letter, because that will only come in the mail, keep that safe. Scan it in, get it backed up, extra paper copies, because that has all the information in it. You just need to stay in compliance on your medical. There'll be information in there on a summary of your conditions, what they expect for each condition in terms of the paperwork, when they want to be updated on things. For me, they want a status report every 12 months, depending on what they're after and what they want for your specific conditions. All that information is in there. So keep it safe, make sure you understand it. If you have any questions, ask your AME and reach out to the AAPA Medical Division, wherever you need to, and just make sure you understand it and stay on top of it. So if you're a type 2 diabetic sitting on the fence, I'm wondering if this is worth doing. Absolutely it is. If you want the freedom that having a class 3 medical gives you, it's worth doing. If you don't need to fly internationally or at night with instrument, just day BFR, basic med is perfectly good. But for me, this is worth the hassle. Definitely worth attempting. It's not fast. It's not easy. I mean, you have to go through a lot of steps, but it's worth doing. And now you've seen somebody go through it, and hopefully that helps you decide what you're going to do and to go through the process yourself. Part 1 is in the description if you missed the decision part of this. And if you're going through this process yourself and you have any questions, I'm not a doctor, but I've been through the process. So if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. Let you know how I did and where I went for information. And if you want to see what I actually do with this medical, the next step is getting the musketeer back in the air.